man, mate. Why Gundogan pointing? Who you pointing to, Ilkay?
No, it can't be, man. It can't be, man. No, it can't be, man. It can't be, man. No, it can't be, man. It can't be, man. No, it can't be, man. It can't be, man. No, it can't be, man. It can't be, man. Well, look at Son's contract. We can't have conceded. Surely that's what I'm saying.
We are oozing soul!
It'll be 1-0. It's 1-0 Spurs. And honestly, lads.
Bro, they are cooking them. Sit down, watch the game. Sit down and watch it. Forget that. Watch this game today. Me, man.
It's 2-0. 2.
Let's get across into Solanke, across. Oh my God, Pedro Porro makes it 3.
Oh, my days.
Over. It's over. It's over.
Trey. 3-0, blood.
Absolutely catastrophic football Manchester City have played.
Deal.
Oh my God.
Game over, City. You shambles. Phil Foden again at the other end of the pitch.
Is it across? And there's 3 for Tottenham.
Goodbye, Timo Werner. Oh my God.
Why does Walker do that now? I swear to God, why does he do that?
It's over. It's over. The league is over. We are done. We're a top 4 race and we should focus on UCL and FA Cup.
I don't know what to say. One thing I am, I'm a man of my words. I will call out. Oh my God. They lost another. If they concede this 4. Oh my God! Oh no! Oh my God, man! Oh no! Oh my God!
Amla. Them big engines.
Welcome to the Top 6 show. Make sure the like button is hit. Make sure you're subscribing. And listen, what a weekend of football we got to witness. The Man City melt, I'm not going to lie. There's a guy today on Twitter that's shutting down spaces because they've all turned against each other. It's like a civil war in the Man City fan base. And they've only lost 5 games on the bounce. And there's civil war. It just shows how fragile that fan base in reality was. One argument and they've broken up. Doorbell. Someone's got a delivery.
Sorry, that's my...
Oh, Kate, what's going on? What's Jimbo having delivered now? Kate?
Do you know what? I don't know what it is.
Might be
Solemn City tears, isn't it? That's what it is.
It's probably Phil Foden. We've all been looking for him somewhere.
We did ask all the City fans within the Football Terrace community to come on today. None of them have responded. Nobbins did. Nobbins is very unwell, I think, because he got engaged at the weekend and he got a little bit tipsy. Congratulations to Nobbins. But the rest of them they've turned into cakes and they've scone. Terrible joke. But they've disappeared. I love that joke. They have disappeared. City fans are not. So when we talk about your team later, don't blame us for no City representation. They didn't turn up. It's not our fault. It's not on us. Loads to delve into today, loads to talk about. We've got a brilliant panel for you for the next couple of hours or so. I wanted to start, though, with my beautiful lot at Manchester United. First game under Ruben Amorim. The media's already coming out. What are you saying, Double A? How are you feeling after yesterday?
Positive, you know. And people look at you like, what? Look, see, already? Like, I'm positive about it because the last thing, as we were speaking before, Terry, the last thing we needed was this manager bounce because it's a false dawn. It allows some players that need to be shown the door a little bit of a stay of execution. I wanted Amorim to see what these players are from the get-go. And I think we saw that. And I think he definitely saw the uphill task that he's faced with for the next remainder of the season. I needed these players to show themselves up, and I think they did that. So I know which players need to go, and now he's going to start needing. I think a lot of United fans all know that we have a team that are absolutely terrible, and I think him coming out and saying, I think he kind of covered them a little bit actually in his post-match chat that was interrupted by Ed Sheeran, because he was saying, they were thinking a little bit too much, they're not really used to it and they need to do this. But really, we know they're not good enough. And I think they'll be shown to be not good enough to play the standard of football that he requires from his players. The big task for him, and I think it goes back 3-4 managers, are the club going to back him by getting rid of them? And there's some that are just going to stay regardless. And I think there's probably two or three that definitely need to be the first on the chopping block that could possibly stay because of contracts, because of status at the club. And that's where we'll possibly find ourselves. I think overall, I think we were lucky to walk away with a point. I'll be honest with you. I think Ipswich were absolutely brilliant. I think after 10 minutes, it was their game. And if it wasn't for Onana, then I think we do lose that 3-1, 4-1 possibly. But I wasn't expecting to go and roll them over 3-0, 5-0. Some United fans were getting a little bit giddy. And I think a draw would have been a fair result, I think, mate. I'll be honest with you.
What were you expecting?
A draw. Because
the reason why I'm asking you that question in particular, because we were last on the show together.
Yeah.
You and Terry in particular were having kind of questioning my thoughts about the quality of your squad, in terms of, I didn't believe the quality was there enough, regardless of the manager, to get top 4. Are you in that same space as me yet, or where are you at?
I mean, top 4 was always the very pinnacle, and that's everything going our way, which is invariably not going to happen. But I expect more from the players than what we saw the other day, because he's had 2 training sessions with everyone. So it's not enough time to start seeing the implementation of his ideas fully. We've seen what he wants to do. We've just not seen the players reach that level of how he wants it done. I think that's where we are. But I think the problem with yesterday with a lot of the fans, because I've already started seeing fans say he's not good enough, and you know what I mean? And I'm like, what?
For real?
Honestly, and I don't know if it's just fans or just people just don't want anyone to be happy or just love the world to be
attention seekers, 100%.
All that. But there was always going to be an anticlimax because of the wait over 2 weeks for him to finally play a game. I think if he had one of those 4 games that Rude had, and we could then go into an international break, I think it settles everything down. The anticipation, the build-up, the constant media circus around his appointment, I think some fans were always going to be left disappointed, and I think we're seeing the fallout from that, from bits of the media just on Twitter.
I agree. I just want to say before everyone else jumps in as well, I did predict us to score 3 or 4 goals, but that was based on, I thought some of these players would show up and give the manager that bounce by playing up a little bit in terms of playing above their level, actually putting a shift in, and they didn't. However, what happened yesterday was going to happen even if we won our first 2, 3, 4, 5 games. This team will be up and down for the next 2 years whilst the squad's being built. And every single Man United fan out there has to be aware of this. I think we will improve if you look at the results and performances over the next 2 years. The line, if a linear line is created, you will see it going upwards. But it doesn't mean you're not going to get peaks and troughs. And I think that what I saw as well, there are some attention seekers, but I also think there's a lot of Man United fans who are still, I don't know how to say this more politely, so I'm just going to say it what's in my head, that are still laboring under the delusion that all you need to do is get the right manager and your club's fixed. Every single time a manager's failing at the club, the debate is this squad can do X if the manager had better Y. And they've been wrong 5 times running, and it feels like they're wrong at the beginning of this 6th attempt. For me, my excitement isn't because Ruben Amorim is here. It's because we have the structure and we have the head coach for the first time since Sir Alex but I still know it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get to a consistent level. Some Man United fans, I still think they are deluding themselves into believing you get a head coach who does good drills in training and we're back. This is a Frankenstein squad, 11 years of failure. There is no example that I can find, and if somebody else can, please send it to me, because I don't believe I know all, but I'm just saying I can't find it, of a team the size of Man United. What does the size matter? Because of the pressure that comes with being as big as us, who's been in the doldrums for 11 years and not challenged for a title, who's had one of their worst league finishes in 50 years in the previous campaign, had their worst start to a campaign ever the following season, and then just changed managers, and then within weeks been back to the peak level within their said league. There are no examples of this ever happening. So Man United fans need to wake up, smell the coffee, and understand this is a long road. But if you are accepting and you know that it's going to be up and down, it's going to take 2 years for 15, 16 members of this squad to go. If you learn to grow thick enough skin to ignore the tribalistic nature of rivals who have every right to create a pylon, that's their job, right? I get it. You've got to grow thick enough skin to stand. And this is where it becomes hard, Double A. It is very hard to stand up as a Man United fan and go, I'm going to have faith through this rebuild that's only just begun, because we're going to have loads of bad results. The manager said it. We're going to go through some pain getting to where we want to be. Some people, though, they do not have the strength mentally to go through that pain. So what they'll do is they will side with the rivals, and they will side with the Sun newspaper, and they'll create a pile-on from the beginning. And as and when it starts to go right, they'll suddenly do a little bit of a U-turn and be like, I always knew. If it wasn't for me being mean and horrible and showing the standards, we wouldn't have got here today. I'm telling you now, as sure as eggs are eggs, that's exactly what's going to happen. Man United rebuild is not for the weak of mind. It is going to be hard. It is going to be difficult, and it's going to take time. That doesn't mean, by the way, I'm excited about the game on Thursday. Just because I'm excited doesn't mean I think we're back. There's a fundamental difference, and I think that football fans are smarter than this, and we've got to behave better, in my opinion.
You're right, Terry, but I don't know if the rest of the panel agrees with me. This wasn't the kind of vibes we were hearing over the last 2 weeks, that like the somber calmness, we need this and that. We were getting training videos talking about his Moncler outfits and his I don't know who blow. I don't know. I was hearing all sorts of things.
Hey, and that's still gas, bro.
Wait, hold on. And then Man United was saying, "What? We have a reason to be excited." Now I'm hearing calmness.
Can I ask you a question, though, bro? Can I ask you a question, though? On your point, did you hear that on the Football Terrace?
What excitement about?
No. On the Football Terrace, did you hear me talking about the watch he wears? Did you hear me talking
about? Not the watch. Not the watch.
What I'm saying is,
very excited. Though.
I am, but I'm still excited about what's coming. And I literally said it's not even that much to do with Ruben; it's to do with everything. But equally, I said when the training video came out, I said in one of my videos, I went, "Don't get suckered in by this PR. That stuff for me is crazy." Like, I totally agree with you, but that's why we didn't do it on the terrace, because for me, that's all a madness. Like Rashford not Rashford, Casemiro tweeted the same thing at the beginning of last season, said top session before we got beat in one of Ten Hag's teams. I don't hate the players for doing the PR stuff. I just don't buy into it. I just kind of leave it there. Does that make sense? But I get your point. There are Man United fans out there but I think what they do, Kunle, is I think they do it because it's double-edged. If we look good, they go, told you, I'm a genius. If it goes wrong, they go viral because people clip them up. It's all attention seeking. It's not real.
Terry, all this is going to take. Sorry, Double A. All this is going to take time. You know, you need to accept that we're going to have peaks and troughs. Surely that applies to Ange Postecoglou then. But we've been ridiculed and mocked and taken the piss out of all the way through this rebuild.
It's because of how bad he ended his season. And
hang on, Ego. Hang on, I want Terry to
let the Man U fans rep themselves.
Sorry. Can you ask it again, please? Ask it again.
Well, you said you've got to understand when it's a rebuild, people have got to be, patient. They've got to be calm. There's going to be times we play really well. There's going to be times we suffer. The manager said you're going to have to suffer. And yet all I hear on here is everyone taking the piss out of Ange Postecoglou, and he's in the same position.
So there's two things to that. Firstly, I think we've got to learn to differentiate between banter and analysis. So, for instance, someone said, Terry, you were gassing your manager up the other day when he was walking out of a restaurant. Again, Rodman, I was being sarcastic, saying, oh, look at him. Didn't he look great? That's a joke. That's not real analysis. Secondly, let me ask you a question back. And I don't like to answer a question with a question, but I need the information to answer correctly. So it's not me trying to send you off in another direction. Was it when you say it was a rebuild under Big Ange, barring Ange coming in, what else changed at your club at the same time?
How do you mean? Oh, what do you mean at the ownership level?
Ownership, sporting directors, change the direction footballing wise. What was the fundamental change? You know, for instance, when Newcastle got taken over, it was new owners, directors of football, but the whole club changed and started its rebuild at that point. And then Eddie Howe came in, because I don't consider a rebuild to be when a manager is appointed. So
yeah, it wasn't just a manager.
Aston Villa didn't start a rebuild when Unai Emery came in. Aston Villa have been building to this point for the last 6 years.
Yeah, but we've brought in Scott Mann, Johan Lang, you know, Paratici's taken a back seat and moved away from the club. So there's been changes in the back end.
Yeah,
and you lost your best player.
I'm not saying you haven't
and we
done
lost
this.
our best player.
I'm not saying you haven't done any of this, but when Paratici's taken a back seat, has the club gone in a completely new direction? Have you, has it been documented or discussed that you're changing your style of play? Are you going after a different type of young player? Like when Chelsea changed ownerships, we can all agree that Chelsea Football Club went in a completely new direction, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that is a rebuild of a football club. When FSG took over Liverpool, like the Liverpool's rebuild didn't start when Klopp arrived. It started when FSG did, like five years earlier. And I think that's the problem when people talk of rebuilds. I don't think a new appointment of a manager is necessarily a rebuild. It's a continuation of what's already started. It's like a new foreman on a building site.
I don't agree with that to an extent. No, I don't either, because Conte, Mourinho, Nuno, all really defensive managers. We had the best player we've ever had leave. Ange's brought in a whole new philosophy from the bottom to the top. It changed so much behind the scenes as well, and bringing in new and different staff. And yet he's not getting the, oh, well, it needs time. He just gets slated that, oh, it's who we are, mate, and the piss taken out of him every 5 minutes. It's not, it's different. You know, you've got to be consistent if you're going to give.
But again, I'm asking questions here because I want to understand where you're coming from. And so if you're saying that you generally had massive change internally at that time, then I'm going to take your word for it. I'm not arguing with you about that. I was just asking questions. I don't necessarily think it's when a manager change happens. If you're saying the style of football changed, the profile of player changed, fair enough. I would say this,
Chelsea, Terry. It did at Chelsea with our new manager, with Enzo Maresca. You know, we're a completely different side. I mean, we in terms of playing style, identity, all of that has come from Enzo Maresca. And I think a lot of Chelsea fans would agree. So technically, as Kate has said, that is a rebuild with a new manager, you know, completely kind of pulling apart. Because if you look at Chelsea this season and last season, we can all say that it's pretty much a completely different side. You know, the way players are utilised, the system, we didn't have an identity. Maresca has ensured that one has been installed. All that is the manager's work.
Sorry, Miguel, 1 sec. Sorry, let me respond. I absolutely understand where you're coming from with that. Maybe it's how I view a club. So for me, you're spot on in terms of the managers come in and he's coaching different and he's giving them new ideas. When I talk about Man United's rebuild, though, we're not talking about a squad that the club has been putting together over the last 3 years for a specific style. We need to still rip our squad apart and rebuild it because it failed. Where with yourselves, you added to it this summer like a normal club did. But the players that you're getting a tune out of have been part of your club's plan, part of how you've been building for the last couple of years. So I don't look at Enzo coming into Chelsea this summer the same as Ruben Amorim taking over mid-season with the situation that Manchester United are in. Even our owners and the people that are making our football decisions have still just getting their feet under the table in that regard. But I do understand it in terms of a new head coach and new tactics, etc. To your question, Kate, though, I can't answer for other Man United fans. I can only speak for myself. And I am very balanced when it comes to Big Ange, because I haven't said at any point that I think you should sack him. Of course, I've had fun at times, there's no doubt, because we all banter each other's clubs. But one of the biggest bits of praise that I've given to Ange at times is like I did on Saturday, when I saw him adjust, when I saw him actually do something different. When he speaks about this is how we play, there's one way to play, we're only going to do it in that particular manner, I think it's crazy. He's not managing Celtic in Scotland anymore. What we saw on Saturday, not yesterday, was somebody play good attacking football, was very compact and hard to break down when he was out of possession, dropped his defensive line that little bit deeper, especially after you went 2-0 up to cope. That is where I think constructive criticism is needed. But what I've agreed with you on the whole time is I think sacking him would be crazy if the club, though, isn't going to change its ethos at board level. And that's the one thing I would say to you. Your style of football may have changed, but the one thing that hasn't at Tottenham, and this is according to yourself for 20 years, is your club's ethos and the direction it's going in and what it holds most dear. When it comes to Man United at this particular juncture, everything at our club is changing. And when you've got that much change happening at board level, football level, manager level, and squad level, anybody that thinks it's going to click into gear as quickly as it has done at Chelsea, who didn't change every aspect of their club this summer, it was the head coach. And of course, there'll be other facets. I don't think it's right to expect Man United to click into gear as quickly as Chelsea have. Equally, I would expect Chelsea to click into gear quicker than Spurs, because I still think Chelsea are a better run club overall and have better players. And you've got to look at all of these different facets, I think, when judging rebuilds.
Yeah, I was going to say something, and now it's completely gone out of my head. This is why I write things down, because I'm used to this. I'll have to think of what I was going to say.
But then, Terry, does that mean... Sorry, Kate. Sorry.
That's fine. Go on, carry on.
I was just going to say, though, Terry, then does that mean that you would absolutely accept that Amorim could fail now? Because you're saying kind of when the club does go through as much, change and rebuild, and I can vouch for that because our club literally was stripped, 2.5 years ago when ownership did change. Absolutely everything changed, from backroom staff, a lot of players. There was a complete, wholesale turnover in every single foundation brick. And then obviously when Graham Potter arrived, that failed massively, right? But then after obviously Frankie was interim, and then Pochettino was meant to be the one then that took over and kind of, made everything work, and then that failed. So is that you saying that potentially Amorim can afford to have like a Pochettino spell where he was sort of like number two of kind of coming in and fixing this, and it failed? Would you accept that?
I would. Again, I don't want it to happen, but I am very, very, very conscious to the fact that Amorim still may not be the person that wins us the trophies, because we don't know. We know how good he's been so far, but we don't know how good he's going to be at Manchester United. I love a lot of what I've heard. I love what I saw at Sporting. I love that he has an identity, and hopefully he doesn't move away from it. But of course, I'm open to the idea that it could potentially fail. But for me, the way I see Chelsea built now, and I said this back at the time of your takeover, I said that you needed a change. I think you made mistakes in the beginning, but I always understood, and hopefully Gal will back me on this, he was on the show back then, what you were trying to achieve. Roman's way of doing it, just spend, but don't build any underneath foundation, I felt didn't work in this era because loads of other clubs had money. In Roman's first 10 years, you were so much richer than pretty much everybody else, and you had a great core that he built. You could go and buy a few players, bring in another top manager, and it was working. So if you look at the second half of Roman's era, he started winning and challenging a lot less than in the first 10 years. Still a brilliant owner. I felt what you needed was a subtle change where you had a real club model where there was a set style of play that was the same at under 8s level right through to the first team, where you bought a specific type of player, where if you sacked a manager, the new coach coming in could pick up from the previous manager and go, look at that squad and go, I can get this squad winning. What I think football clubs need to get away from in the modern day era is a new manager coming in, like we've had 5 times on the bounce, and saying, got to get rid of 18 of these 23 players to make my system work. I think when you do that is what I call a rebuild, essentially, of a squad, where every new manager wants to rip a squad apart and start again. That's where, for me, Man United's situation has gone wrong in the last 11 years. And I've said it at the beginning of every appointment of every manager. Jose is a great coach, but if we don't change the way we operate as a football club, he'll foul. Same with Oli, the same with Ten Hag. That's why I'm excited now, because we have very publicly declared that we have a set style of football and a certain type of player we want to sign. And over the course of the next 20 years, we are going to hire head coaches to manage that group of players each time. And that, for me, is why I look at this as a genuine rebuild from top to bottom of the club. And of course, I'm open to the idea that head coaches can fail. But for the first time in 11 years, I feel more comfortable if we have to sack a head coach now than I did prior, because you're not starting what you won't hear me say. So my energy will be the same, whether people agree with me or not. If Ruben lasts 2 years and we do well, but we sack him, I will not say at the beginning of the new coach, rebuild starts again from here, day one. The rebuild starts now. So in 2 years' time, when a new coach comes in, we're 2 years into a rebuild. I don't think clubs can just keep going back to square one with a new head coach, because clubs don't operate in that way anymore. Fergie ain't running the club where it's all his idea. It's run by the sporting directors. It's run by the board. I actually think they're every bit as important, if not more important, than the head coaches at times. So for me, I'll keep the same energy. You won't see me say there's a new rebuild if Ruben Amorim does foul.
Can I just jump on to Nina's question now, just about Amorim as well? Because I think it actually goes deeper than Amorim, because the jury's still out on Ineos and his new structure, because we don't know if they're going to be successful. So he very well could fail. But for me, and I know a lot of United fans, we need to see if they're going to back up everything they're putting out there, because we don't know how successful they're actually going to be as a structure. And the thing he needs is absolute backing. And by backing, I don't mean buying players. I mean getting rid of the players, because that's clearly what needs to happen. The last manager spent 600 million, and what's he bought? Because you look at that squad now, and you'd happily get rid of half of them, if not a little bit more. So Amorim very well could fail, because we have the history and the record to show you that every manager that's come into the club has effectively failed in some way or whatever. So I think, go on.
I was just going to add on to what you're saying.
How? No, go on. How have I confused you?
Because you fought me on this quality squad that can fit in the top 4 last time. You're now saying half the squad isn't quality. So I'm just confused, isn't it? Right. So what level do you think this squad is at? Because I'm hearing a bag of excuses now after you've had one.
Okay. So I think this squad could get top 4, but do I think this squad could win us a league where I want to be? Absolutely not. So therefore, So therefore, the squad's not good enough then. So
but you believe this squad can get top 4 with the current quality you have in it, yeah?
Because they
and
have
then you
before,
can rebuild
because they have before, and I think a lot of them are probably the replacements we bought in more often than not. So the jury's out on 1 or 2, but the others, the replacements,
1 or 2. You just said half the squad, bro.
No, I'm saying replacements you brought in this summer. 1 or 2 of them, the jury's still out. Euro and Xerxes, jury's still out on them. Where the other 3, I think, have been good. So I think they could get top 4, but I don't want to be languishing, reaching top. That's an Arsenal thing, searching for top 4. That's what they used to do all the time. So I'm not doing that. I want to win Premier Leagues. I want to challenge for the Champions League again. Therefore, half this squad is not good enough to do that, to get me to the promised land.
Don't be disingenuous. I've seen you on streams talking about we should get top 4. Now all of a sudden,
I'm just waiting him to talk. I'm just leaving him to talk.
But I've just said that again. I've literally just said this squad could get to top 4. Unnecessary shot, because your expectation.
Hang on. At the start of this season, hang on. But at the start of this season, though, loads of pundits and loads of YouTubers that are non-United fans had us in the top 4.
Regardless,
so suddenly now, Double A saying the squad. But the squad probably still has good enough quality to make top 4. Maybe not from this point, because of how bad the start of the season was. But there is a fundamental difference here. I think we're nitpicking between building a squad that all of you do this, and I know Chelsea fans do it. I don't know about Arsenal. Chelsea fans definitely do. That ain't Chelsea quality. What you mean in that statement is that isn't someone who's good enough to make us win league titles again. That is what Double A is talking about. I think everybody knows that's what he means, but we're nitpicking to try and catch him out when he's talking about trying to win a league title versus potentially qualifying for a Champions League spot. I thought that was quite clear in what he was saying.
Fair enough. I just want to say something, Kate.
Arsenal fans like to bite that.
Kate, you can't compare Ange Postecoglou, who had 2 full preseasons, to a manager who just joined the club with no preseason.
That's not what I've said. That's not what I said at all. No, I didn't. I said no.
Ange, the reason why people can be more critical of him, because they have a longer sample size where they've seen him have his team go 5 games where they've conceded the first.
I didn't say that, Miguel. Watch your ear rolls out, darling. I said if you're going to grant time to Amorim, as in 2 years, it's going to be up and down. Ange is 18 months in, and people aren't giving him time. That's what I was saying. But what I was actually going to say to Terry, when I couldn't remember, I remembered. We have changed because we're now using data-driven scouting. We've got new people behind the scenes. Daniel Levy, backlist manager, is giving 400 million euros. That's never been done before. Whether I think we bought the right players is different. So things are changing. So
Kate, so again, this is one of the reasons why I started the Football Terrace. I'm very open about this. I'm not a football encyclopedia. I don't profess to know everything. That's why we have the dialogue and conversation, and you've just put it out there so we now know. There is a difference, though. I'm open in this rebuild to sacking Amorim if he isn't good enough. So the rebuild for me is not, I don't think any of our clubs sitting on this panel right now, I don't think any of your clubs operate in the image of your manager or head coach. Your head coach is coaching in the way your board want him to run your football club. I just don't think we operate in the Fergie mindset, the Wenger mindset anymore. It's about the club says, this is the football we want to play. These are the types of players we're going to buy. You get an input and a say as a head coach. Your job is to coach it. Therefore, if Amorim turns out to be crap, we can get rid of him, bring somebody else in, but not start again. There's an interesting comment that came through that says, Terry, United are currently on their 7th rebuild. Terry waffling. Bro, you've just proven me right, in my humble opinion. We have done 7 rebuilds. Because since Fergie, every time a new manager's come in, we've started everything from day one again. Different scout, sometimes even different scouts, different types of players we're scouting, different training methods, putting up trees, taking down trees, letting the players eat with each other. No, the youth players have to go out. You know, not letting the defenders eat lunch with the midfielders, this manager does. And the next guy comes in and wants to play possession-based football. The next guy comes in and he has no tactics. It's just arms around the shoulder. The next manager comes in who has a style of football that is famed for possession, signs all the players to play that way, but then tries to play pragmatically and it all falls apart. So this is my point. Man United have started a rebuild. There doesn't need to be another rebuild at Man United now for a long time because you just continue it. You don't need to keep stopping it every time you sack a manager. That's why I was always against sacking the managers because we just fucking started again and it was so boring. That is why I'm excited. So yeah, listen, Kate, everything you've said, I'm on board with, but just because your club's rebuilding doesn't mean Big Ange can't be sacked. You can sack a manager in a rebuild.
I agree.
So that's more what I'm talking about. Sorry, go on.
No, what I was going to say is, and I agree that it's different because United have got a history of winning a lot and Tottenham haven't. And that's my argument with Tottenham fans that want Ange out. We don't tend to win anything anyway. So what is the benefit of sacking him? You might as well just give him the benefit of the doubt and let him carry on.
But if you're rebuilding, Kate, like you've said, and you've got a new style of football that you want to play, a new way of operating, money that's being invested, a new type of squad with a profile that's being built, if that's all going well, but the coach or the manager isn't getting the best out of them, then all you've got to do is bring a better coach in and you'll improve much quicker. The problem is at Man United is that we haven't done that. And this is why I think Chelsea have improved this year. I think the majority has stayed the same, but they've brought in a better coach. So therefore you've seen improvement. If Chelsea would have gone, right, we're going to scrap everything we've been trying to build in the last 2 years and start again from zero, and most of this squad's going to be sold in a year, etc., etc. I don't think you grow as quickly as this. What you might get is like a spike and then it bombs again. But we can all watch Chelsea and see they are genuinely getting better because their rebuild started 2 years ago. There was bumps along the road. There was mistakes being made, but the direction has still been clear to the owners. And of course, when owners make mistakes, or they bring somebody in like Christopher Verveil who isn't working, or there's a conflict, you move them on quickly. These things don't mean you start again. And I think that's where I think as football fans, I still don't think we're realizing how much English football is changing that way. And by the way, this has been done on the continent forever. Like they've never had managers run their football clubs. There's always been a president and a kind of sporting director. So as I say, I'm very open to Ruben failing. I don't want him to, but I'm more focused on what we're doing at Ineos board level than I am the actual head coach. I think that's far more important in the modern day game. I really do.
Quick question, Terry. You see, over the next 2 seasons, let's say Amorim doesn't win anything, for example, and you finish top 6 in the next 2 years, but you have a cemented style of play at the end of it. Is that worth giving him a chance to continue, or are you thinking let someone else come in?
No, I mean, it's again, you've got to see how far are we off the top, as an example. I need some variables here.
Top 6 or top 4? Is it Champions League?
Top
6 and not won anything. Go. He needs to go. No, he needs to go.
No, yeah. 100%. If we're doing that, but we're 2 points off top, then yeah, he's close. Let's give him a go. We've seen him win league titles before, so it's a hard question to answer. But for me, right now, the most important thing is him as head coach to focus on is getting the football right, getting a continuous style of play. Because again, what we've done again with every manager is we chop and change how we're trying to play. Ten Hag for the first 6 months had us playing well. The win percentage was in the 70s. We won a trophy. You're thinking, right, we're moving forward. We lose a game badly to Liverpool when he starts changing it. In the summer, he abandons what he did in the first season, and it all starts falling apart. I saw today United fans say, "Oh, I don't know if this three at the back's going to work. I think Ruben's got to change." No, we've done this with every manager we've appointed since Fergie. We don't let them play the way that we don't let them do what we've employed them to fucking do. We can't make that mistake again. Honestly, we really, really can't. But we'll see what happens.
My question's about probably threefold for the Man United fans, but also for the panel, because I was watching the Athletic, and I just, on the last point that Kunle made around, are you guys prepared to not win anything for the next 2 years and finish sixth, but you still got a defined style of football? The reality is that could be a real possibility for Man United. And part of the problem is that you're Man United and you're expected to win. And so one of my questions for the fans, if you're kind of, because you guys haven't experienced a rebuild before, I have, a few others have, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of patience. I think you guys are quite ready for what you're about to experience. Like this next 6 months could be totally painful for you. You won't understand how. So more for the fans. Also, this is more kind of from the Athletic around they talked about the 3-4-3 style. So they accepted that, for instance, Amorim is a good manager, he's got a good style of football, but the 3-4-3 is such a defined, almost unique style that if he does fail, find another manager who's able to do that same style might be quite difficult. Plus, you'll have very specific type of players, i.e. the wing backs type of doing that. And it's very hard to kind of get those. If you get a different manager coming in, it's very hard to kind of then make those particular wing backs not wing backs anymore, if that makes sense. So we don't know essentially if this style of play is going to get Man United to the promised land, i.e. Champions League winning, Premier League winning. So if you do decide at the end of the 2 years, as Kunle put it, that this is not the style that we want, but then again you've got a style and you've got players that are so specific, so unique. You almost need to find another Ruben Amorim, but then a 2.0 who does win stuff, and so there's a high risk for that. Unless you're ready. And apologies, I learned it on this. Unless you're ready for, dare I say, almost. I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to throw away you might get him to a point where he's having to adapt this style. Ruben Amorim's having to adapt this style to turn Man United into a winning side. Yes, you've got defined style of play, but you need to be winning stuff as well. So my question is, A, are you ready for the painful process that you're going to go through as fans? B, do you think there is an issue for your style of play currently? Is it adaptable? Can you change if Ruben Amorim doesn't the style of play that he has doesn't work, essentially doesn't win? And C, do you think it's reversible essentially if you do need to bring another player? Another manager.
This is crazy after one game. I don't know what you're saying, and I understand the questions, but they're already talking about the next man. Bro, the guy's had 2 training sessions with his full squad at one game, I think.
No, but this discussion though.
But it's a crazy discussion to be having when you're talking about.
He just asked you if you're ready for pain. Really.
But I'm absolutely. I've said
that. It's not that deep, bro.
No, because I understand that. But then they're talking about the next man, and this is the problem. I'm not saying
the fact that you don't want to talk about it already indicates to me you're not ready for it.
Bro, I've said this previously. I am ready for the long haul, the short-term pain for long-term game. I know where the pinnacle is, and I'm ready to get there, because what I can't do is these constant rebuilds with a new manager coming in, having a good first season, absolute dog shit second season, and then we're starting again, because I've seen United be the best, and that's where I want to be again. What I don't want us to be is languishing, reaching, trying to scratch top 4 and nick it at the last, winning cups. I'm ready for it. I'm absolutely ready for it. So my point is, and I'm getting to it, that I'm happy to go through the pain, for this manager to call out these players from day one and implement a style. And it's not even necessarily the 3-4-3, because he said it himself. People are focusing on the formation too much, when really what he's saying is he wants the right players to do the right things at the right time and play the way he wants to play. He can adapt in game because he's done it before. So I'm happy for him to do that. What got my back up there was, and it's not you, it's because you mentioned the Athletic, they're already talking about the next man. Bro, the guy has had one game, and this is the problem with it. Because as soon as something don't go United's way, or it didn't go, if we'd have won, None of them conversations are getting brought
No,
up.
but that's not
Because
just
it's
unique
true.
to Man United. Like this is before
No,
Amorim came
but,
in.
no, but, no, but yeah,
This
but
is
you're
before
talking
Eddie
to,
Howe
you're talking
came
to a
in.
United
Chelsea
fan.
had
You're
the same.
saying
Can I,
something
can I
about
add on,
United.
can I add on to the end of that as well? I understand what the Athletic have said. I'm not a tactico by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that tacticos, if I'm being honest, I think it might have been Einstein that said if you can't explain something in basic terms, you don't really understand it. It's why I struggle with the tacticos, because they make football tactics sound like they're building a spaceship for Elon Musk. The words they use, the complicated nature of it. I've played football at a decent level, district level. If anyone's ever played in England, play for your district, you're pretty good. It was never that complicated then, and I don't think it's that complicated now. Amorim himself, when was asked about 4 at the back, he said there really isn't that big of a difference. What the players are struggling to get hold of is the instructions of what to do when in possession. And he said it. And a lot of people focus on the Bruno comment. Bruno did better when he got closer to the ball and wasn't making the long balls. I fucking knew he was shit. What about what he said about Ahmad that we all rate at the moment? He said Ahmad is used to playing the ball inside, playing the ball to the centre-backs and then moving in centrally. Now what he's being told to do is to play the ball to the centre-backs and stay out wide. That's nothing to do with the formation per se. It's to do with the instructions. That, for me, is where between managers, that's where the fundamental differences come in. That's why we looked a little bit off the pace yesterday. I actually think it's more than the physical side of things. It's people thinking. Again, if you've ever done a sport to a decent level, if you start thinking on the field of play, or like in my sport, on the mats or in the ring, that's when you get caught on the chin, because you're slow, because you're not doing things instinctually. That's why I'm not overly stressed about it, because a lot of people would say on the surface, Klopp and Slot play very different football. Arnie Slot's come out, and it's, again, the fact that it hasn't been picked up by the media is because I don't know why, actually. I don't know the reason it should have been.
You know what,
he said,
Terry?
Slot's words were, there's been no real change of style. He went a few subtle different instructions. That's all I've done differently. Even though they look to us as fans, completely different styles, he went, there's no new style of play at the club. There's just a few subtle different instructions in the game. He said it before a game a couple of weeks ago. I think before the Arsenal game, he said it. And that's the thing for me. I don't think I think some of these top coaches, I don't think that their styles of play are massively different. It might just be that one manager likes his fullbacks to invert, the other ones make them stay out wide. That's a subtle change to a well-drilled team. So I do get your question, but at this point, it's not something I would worry about at all. If this team can get into a well-regimented style of football that takes discipline, I think it's easier to put them into a new discipline system. What we're struggling with at Man United is that we've got a lot of lazy fucking players who don't want to break their back for the team and that don't want to work hard for the team. And they have this kind of chip on their shoulder where, like, well, I've been here 3 years, I've been here 5 years, this guy ain't going to last. And I actually think the reason why we didn't see the bounce yesterday is because they know. And it's something that Amorim said that's so important. Whether these players go and chat to me, Barada, or Dan Ashworth, they're getting the same answer. That hasn't happened at Man United in 11 years. And we saw that the big famous case was with Martial and Pogba. The Glazers backed the players and they threw Jose under the bus. And that was one of the biggest turning points at our club that led to where we've ended up before this appointment. So for me, I'm really happy with some of the things we're doing directionally. But again, it's going to be a long, hard road, and I'm ready for the ride. But I don't know about the weak ones.
So you don't think you have a distinct side? You don't think you have a distinct style in a 3-4-3? Because that's my whole. That's the point. I'm jumping on the back of what Kunle is saying.
I would have agreed with that until I heard Amorim speak about it. And for me, as football fans, listen, I'm not a trained coach. If someone of the coaching bad disagree with Amorim, it's not my opinion here. I'm going with what an expert has said. Amorim has said that he doesn't really think that's the fundamental issue. You play in a 3, you play in a 4. He goes, when a 3-4-3 is in attack, he said, I can't remember which formation it was. He said, it looks like this formation. They're all very similar. See instructions. So listening to a professional say that, I'm just going, okay, well, I'm taking his word for that. Unless someone with more expertise than him can show me why he's wrong, I appreciate people's opinions, but it's what the expert has said. So I'm relaxed about it.
Yeah, he spoke really well in the interview, to be fair. Like, I liked how he broke things down, 100%. I don't know, but my issue is the fact that both Man U fans on this panel have kind of shied away from the answer to his question and what we've seen in terms of your fan base over the last few years. Personally, I don't think the fan base is ready for the pain. And we're going to see it over the next.
I've literally just said I am. I've literally said I am.
The first thing you said was, I don't want to even talk about it. Like, this is the first game.
No. What I did want to talk about was, I didn't want to talk about the fact you asked the question about, are we ready to get the same guy in? When he's sacked, why are we talking about him being sacked after one game? It's ridiculous.
No, I didn't say anything about. I didn't even mention the word
sacking. You did. You said that if he was after 2 years, he was to fail, they have to go and get a man that plays a similar. So you're talking about him going. So you're talking about him being sacked, which for me is ridiculous. That's my point. But am I ready to go through the pain to get to where I think
do managers get sacked? Is that a natural part of football? If it doesn't work for him,
but why am I thinking about the next man coming into the club?
Because we're having this is what football shows are about.
This guy's just
all right.
This guy's
no problem. We won't talk about it then. We'll just wait.
This guy has just come in, so let's talk about will he get it right rather than
this is the
you
point.
have to go and get the next man
for me. The fact that you're not even ready to discuss this is a
worry
for me.
Because I don't need to discuss it because it's a ridiculous thing.
All right, fair enough.
Ridiculous.
Why rival question Amorim?
That's exactly it.
Because that's the pain he's talking about. So you're not ready to discuss the pain. So maybe you're not ready.
It's not. No, it's not. No. You're saying we ain't ready for the pain to struggle until the system works. That isn't the same as saying, are you ready for the pain of the manager failing? There's a fundamental difference in those two things.
But pain is pain, though, Terry.
No, but
it's different. It's different pain.
We're talking about a different type of pain. Hang on a minute.
Pain.
Hang on. This is the difference here.
Are you ready for pain?
Am I ready to go through the pain of going to the gym every day to get into shape? Yes. Am I ready for my leg to break? I don't want to talk about my leg breaking, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's just pointless. If my leg breaks, I'll deal with it.
But you just, in one breath, you said it's not a problem losing the manager because we've got a structure. Why would then losing the manager be like breaking your leg? You should be comfortable in your structure.
I am comfortable in the structure, but I am comfortable in my structure.
Nice.
I am comfortable in my structure. The point is, and my structure in the gym is so good, my leg ain't gonna break, bruv. The point is, I don't want to talk about it though. I hear it. Like talking about the next manager after one game is a madness.
Crazy. It's not about talking the manager after
Terry,
one game.
you did that when Ten Hag, before Ten Hag was hired, in his announcement video, you spoke about the potential that he'd get sacked in his next.
I said if
what's changed now?
Literally the fucking structure. I said because we didn't have the structure, he'll foul. The structure is now there. That's what's fucking changed. That's why I'm not talking about it. Oh my god!
You're ready. You guys are ready for the pain. We'll get it.
Fuck me. You know what I'm not ready for? I'm not ready to be told I ain't ready for the pain. Because I am ready for the pain. That's what I'm not ready for.
It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be okay.
Great debate, though, guys. I loved it. Really great challenge. And you know what? I will say this. I normally wait till backstage. Probably the best challenge I've ever had in the Man United section ever on the Top 6 show. So genuinely well done. I always say to the panel, more of that, please. That is what the show's about. So well done to all of you. Appreciate that loads. But KJ, I know you're backstage. Make sure after these don't come on again. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Guys, we're not getting any more call-ups here.
No, like it. You got to have the challenge. Have the challenge. Let's get through these super chats. We've got a few other subjects. I don't want to run out of time tonight because I didn't think we'd spend 47 minutes on Man United, if I'm honest. Terry is wrong. Arteta has enacted the vision he presented to the board in his interview. He is the manager, not the head coach. If you've built the whole thing based on Arteta, you're screwed when he leaves. Because it means you're literally going to start again. I don't think you've done that personally. That's just my opinion, but we will see. We will see. Amorim is one game in, and rivals are expecting him to turn water into, I think you mean wine. I actually believe he will be a success. However, like he said, prepare to suffer. If Kate wasn't a Spurs fan and married, I'd be catnip for the cougar she is. Big up everyone.
That's my favourite super chat I've ever read in my whole life.
I got a comment earlier asking if I preferred Tottenham Kate, the Spurs fan, or Kate Middleton. and I just let you know, I'd prefer Kate, the Tottenham fan. I just want to put that out there over Kate Middleton because, you know, she's married to the king. I'd get in a lot of trouble. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Oh, Jimbo. Do you mean King Jimbo?
No, I reckon Jimbo would let me take you out for at least one night. I reckon he'd let me have one night.
I don't think he would.
But let Jim know I'll ring up with an indecent proposal and we can go through it. It's a great film. That film made me. If you ever watched that film made me angry. I felt so bad for Woody Harrelson in that film. Toon Tactics isn't wrong. Both Arsenal went through years of playing in their rebuild, and Chelsea recently went through 2 brutal years in theirs. Agreed.
Arsenal aren't finished there as well, have they? They've not won anything.
Get ready for the same.
Listen, I'm prepared for it. I'm prepared. But as I say, it's because rebuilds don't start with new coaches. They start at the board level, in my opinion. But there we go. Toon, Ruben's formation is incredibly fluid and flexible. In game, it can turn into a back 4, a back 5, or even a back 2. He didn't have a record of winning trophies. If he didn't have a record of winning trophies, he wouldn't be at United.
Yeah, no, fair play. If it's fluid and it can change, and if should he succeed and go to manage Portugal and you get a different manager, it'll be a bit nicer, and maybe somebody else come in and drive. It should be fine. The main thing is obviously that you're able to continue to involve.
Fingers crossed we can. It was a well-coached team versus a manager who only had his player for one or two training sessions. We saw a glimmix. I can't speak. Glimmix. That's not the word. What is the word? Glimpses. We saw glimpses. Yeah, my dyslexia kicked in then, and it wouldn't. I then broke. I went on repeat of his style, but also his in-game management was good regarding the subs. Yeah, the starting lineup weren't bloody good though. But yeah. United's squad isn't a top 6 squad. Majority of the players aren't up to par. Let Amorim clear the swamp. Sounds like a Trump rally. Compare United to other teams. They won't make top 6. Maybe not from now. People always associate pain with a better payout, but psychology says it's not a guarantee of anything. It's like saying suffering this heartbreak longer to get a better partner in future. Nonsense. I mean, listen, you are right. There's no guarantees of success at the end of pain. That is very, very true. Yes, you could lose the love of your life and never meet somebody you love as much, but you may. But people tend to tell you that to make you feel better at the time. Imagine you're heartbroken because your missus left you and someone says, that's it. Your life has peaked. You're fucked now. Like, imagine you can't. This is the thing. People go, oh, you're talking real. No, sometimes you can't talk real to people at certain times. It's wrong. But I hear you. Can you imagine that? But football fans do that, don't they? Oh, you're finished. No, we should fold up the club then because we didn't win the league this year. It's crazy. Moving on from Man United. What we got? How much time we got left? Right. Man City. I expect 52 minutes of cooking for these motherfuckers. I've lost 5 on the bounce, by the way. No, I'm messing. They got a beating at the weekend, Nina, an absolute beating. It's 5 defeats on the bounce. The team looks dysfunctional. Give me your thoughts, please.
I mean, wow, what a game. Kate's smiling. I'm sure she enjoyed that game thoroughly. But yeah, we obviously talked about City last time I was on the show and how they look quite depleted, and I almost think that they're kind of like a wounded animal that's just sort of limping through now games. And even when they have maybe like taken the lead this season first, they've always looked quite fragile, and they don't look like the ruthless City that can win the game in the end. And everyone massively talks about Rodri's absence, but I think we've all sort of come to realise that I think the problems are much deeper rooted than Rodri missing. There's a loads of players that have kind of almost hit a decline at the same time as well, and there are certain players that should have been performing better that also aren't. So I think that collectively has left City absolutely massively underwhelming, and it kind of looks like every team's almost up to play them. I wish we didn't play them on the opening game of the season. Why couldn't we have them next week? So yeah, it's a shame as a Chelsea fan, but yeah, I mean, it's I think for a neutral kind of football fan, you almost look at it and kind of what it means for the league, and you think, yeah, finally, that kind of top 4 race is a lot more wide open for different reasons. It has you believe in different things, but I think we're all looking forward to the City Liverpool game, because I think that's probably going to be almost that. I think the hammer and the nail in the head if City lose that, and you almost think, yeah, that's City gone for good, guys. But yeah, I've not really ever seen Pep look that what's the word? Look that much in despair on a touchline, kind of shake his head, and they were 2-0 up, Spurs, inside 20 minutes, I think. And yeah, you got to give credit to Spurs. They looked ruthless in that game. They just wanted more. They saw that City was struggling. I mean, Haaland as well. You kind of look at it and it wasn't like City didn't have chances. You could add 30 minutes to that game and City just did not look like they were going to score, hitting the woodwork. Haaland just missing chances that he'd score any day last season but absolutely Spurs' day. And yeah, what a game to watch as a neutral too.
I agree. Toon Tactics, do you think, is that it for them now? Are they out of the title race, or can they still turn this round, in your opinion, City?
No, I don't think they can turn it around with the current players that they have. Same thing we talked about in terms of predicting the scoreline in the last show was they're just too, in terms of the current midfield, they're just not strong enough, not physical enough, and Tottenham ran them ragged. I think if any other team with the same kind of pace and power, athleticism, can do a similar thing, it won't necessarily be the same damage that Tottenham caused, but Tottenham are a high quality side. And I think they're going to suffer it. I don't know if people are looking at January as possibly like the rescue mission that Man City can do to save their Premier League hopes. It's still possible, but they would shell out a lot of money to be able to do that. And that's not really City style. I think they're probably, if they're honest with themselves, and probably in the corridors of power between Pep Guardiola and the owners, they're probably already getting ready for the summer. And the main thing now is to really kind of consolidate and get ready for the Champions League. Make sure they get Champions League qualification.
I hear you on that. Again, I want to throw this question at you. I've seen some comments from Pep today about how he has to play an attacking midfielder in the defensive role in Ilkay Gundogan. And a number of City fans, including LB, have kind of quote tweeted it and said, "We'll give Nico a go, give the academy players a go." Why do you agree with that? And if so, why do you feel that Pep isn't giving some of the youngsters with more legs and more energy a go in this team when there's clear holes in it?
I don't think he trusts them. I think he's going to go with the older players that he has. Guys like Gundogan coming back from Barcelona doesn't look like he's up to the levels that he was a couple years ago. You look at that midfield. You also have Bernardo Silva, who's considered world class by a lot of people, but he's one player who he could go quiet. He could have quiet games for like 7 games and have one game and people say, "Yep, he's world class." He's not showing those levels. I don't know why everyone's putting the pressure on Rico Lewis, who, if I'm not mistaken, is probably one of the youngest players on that Man City team, when there's other big players there not performing. Kyle Walker also is a main reason why they conceded some of those goals. As a right back, he's one of those guys that you give him a couple yards of space, you're getting beat because he's going to get that ball, but he's also letting them down. So I'm not looking at the midfield specifically. I'm also looking at some of the defenders, and I'm saying they're not up to the levels. The midfield we've already known without Rodri, it's going to be a little bit poor, but this is not just down to Rodri. And the real answer, Terry, he just doesn't trust the kids on the bench. He's not going to put them out there versus Tottenham. He's going to try to rely on the older guard, and they're also letting him down at this moment in time.
It's an interesting one, though, isn't it? Because I'll throw this out to the panel. There's been other youngsters in the past that didn't get opportunities because they were doing so well. The likes of Lavia, the likes of Cole Palmer. There's now and look how well they're doing, and many others, by the way. The amount of other I didn't realize that Pedro Porro was a City youngster until he scored the goal the other day. This is the perfect time for City to give some of these youngsters a chance that maybe keeps them at the club, and they're not getting the game time. And as you said, Kyle Walker at right back. The fact he got burnt by, I know Werner's quick, but that should be it. That's his Gary Neville moment. That's the Gary Neville moment. Move him on. But the fact he's not playing any of these kids who have got the energy and the legs and probably that love for the club, they're not bloated on the success. I find it a little strange, Kunle.
I don't, to be fair, because if you really overlook it, Pep don't really trust youngsters like that. Let me deep it, because when his teams look good, throwing in a youngster here and there, it looks really good. He's an up and coming, probably gets an England cap and whatsoever. He reminds me, I don't know if the older fans remember a player at Arsenal called Stephen Hughes. He played like 97, 98, 99 season. I thought it was going to be a world beater. He fit in with like Vieira, Petit, looking neat in the middle of that midfield. 2 years later, I never heard of the boy again. And that seems like what we're going to happen to Rico Lewis, because he's a kickboxing champion stuff, but he's getting shrugged off the ball by people smaller than him. It was crazy. So I don't Pep is all over the place right now. He's rattled and his head is hot. I knew his head was hot when he started saying statistics. Oh, but 4 in a row, 6 out of 7. When managers start throwing out stats, you know they're rattled and in their feelings, and he's making a bag of mistakes and he doesn't know what to do. So yeah, I hear what Toon Taxes is saying. City can survive if they do something mad in January, but by the time they get to January, where are they gonna be? Because it doesn't look like they can buy a win right now. And I sincerely believe footballers watch the Terrace, because Phil Foden definitely watched Egal and me like this the other day, because he started that game on the weekend with a lot of he was going for it. Started first 3 minutes, and then he just, as soon as it went 1-0, he drowned out of the game. It was crazy. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, when I watched Timo Werner past Kyle Walker, it literally looked like he just got, the star in Mario Kart. Like, I thought, because he whooshed past him, crossed it back. It was crazy, man. I don't know.
Do you know what's also happening in the games as well, though? I don't know if you see this, guys, that when teams used to get chances against City, they used to miss them because it was like, we might not get another one. Teams are now starting to fancy themselves against them as well. And I'm taking nothing away from Tottenham. You were phenomenal. But teams fancy it. They think they can win.
No fear factor. They look at the team and they say to themselves, "This is not the team of before." You look over, you see Savio, you're going to be like, "Who's this guy?" You know what I mean? You're not really worried about Savio. He's not Riyad Mahrez. He's not some of those players that they had in attack before. You look at that midfield; it's not that scary. No KDB, and let's be honest,
but it was the Welsh Wall and Dragusin at the back, bro.
But bro,
it didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Ben Davies.
I said the Welsh Wall, Kate. I gave him his props. The Welsh
I was going to say, don't go there.
Davies, big him up.
It didn't even matter, because Tottenham showed an attacking display away to Man City that you would think they would show against a team lower down the table. The way Man City were defending as a team, as a unit, I don't know what they were doing, but it's not just
but Brighton did the same thing. We talked about
their whole team is a mess, and I think it goes back to the fact that every year we've said City don't look the same, but Pep's genius would find a solution.
No.
The years before we said City don't look the same, and now it's culminated season after season of them slowly diminishing their squad depth to having 2 great B team and an A team, to now not having that great B team anymore. And you can kind of see what happens when you lose a couple players and you get a couple players injured. Because now, what is that? 4 or 5, 4 players missing, if I'm not mistaken. 4 key players missing. It's now going to start to hurt them.
I think
if no one's mentioning all the injuries that Spurs had. Sorry,
no. Go on.
We had a makeshift back line. We've got Benton Kerr on a ban. We was riddled with injuries as well. Not only that, we had this discussion on the terrace. I wish I could have found the clip probably a couple of months ago. And everyone was saying no one goes to Manchester City at the Etihad and goes at them. They're stupid if they do, but no one does, because no one who's ever done it has got a result. Well, we did. We did what no one else has done. We ended the 52-game run. We've made them 5 losses in a row, and all the media want to do is pick about how bad Man City were, and we were phenomenal. Kulusevski, Maddison, all stepped up. They were phenomenal, and it's one of the greatest matches I've seen this Premier League this year. It was a brilliant game of football.
Question.
God, Terry.
Are you guys releasing a DVD?
Maybe. I might release one. I don't care. I'm not getting. I've had the celebration police on my case, if you please, fellow Tottenham fans. Apparently, we're not allowed to celebrate. Do you know what I mean?
That was your biggest win against a top 6 team in a long time.
Exactly. And do you know what? I don't think much has changed. I don't know that we'll go and beat Roma this week and then Fulham. I don't care. This is what being a fan is all about.
Sit in that 4-0, mate.
Exactly. This is what being a fan is all about.
You could lose to Fulham and it'll all be back to square one. But
hey, Egal, this is not the day. Leave it.
We're
tomorrow.
Let me have my little bit of happiness, Gal.
Hey, soak it up, Gal. You deserve it.
I am. I'm soaking up every second of it. It was amazing.
I'm a Debbie Downer. Enjoy.
You are.
By the way, speaking about UK, your husband has messaged the show, and he said, Terry, it's not if I would let you take Kate out. I am her husband. I'm not her owner. The question is, would Kate go? No, now I feel pressure. I'm going to get rejected.
I wouldn't
Jimbo,
go.
aren't I?
Unless Jimbo was with me, I wouldn't go because
Hang
why?
on.
If I've got steak
Hang
at
on,
home, why would I
in
go
my
for a
room.
cheeseburger?
Hey, let them know, Kate.
Sorry, Terry. He's my soulmate. What can I say?
Can we mention one thing
Jimbo,
though?
I love Jimbo though, and Jimbo wouldn't come out. Jimbo's no cuck. I can tell Jimbo's no cuck. He's a geezer. He's a proper
definitely
geezer.
not.
Honestly, if you see him as well, he's like Phil Mitchell's brother. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones. So yeah, big up Jimbo. Great guy. Baz here says, I don't think City have the personnel to play 3-1-6 in attack. Pep needs to change the tactics to save the season. It's a great point. It's a real great point. I don't want getting on Foden's back, but I wanted to point out a fact. This is a key fact. So far in 2024, Jack Grealish hasn't scored a competitive goal for what's it called? Man City. Is that enough from a 100 million pound player?
No.
And and why doesn't he get the attention that Rashford, that Saka, that Gordon, that Enzo Fernandez? Why doesn't he get the same attention that all of our star players or big signings get?
He's
Because
out on the piss every other weekend, man.
The simple
he's a great lad. He's a character. Everyone likes him.
None of that. Simple answer is Man City won the league and he didn't have to perform, even though he cost them 100 million pounds. It did not cost them on the pitch. They still won a treble. They still won league titles. And if he performs or if he doesn't perform, he's not the needle mover for Man City. The needle mover is supposed to be Phil Foden. And that's why he's held to a higher standard and he's criticized more than Jack Grealish. And that's why he should be spoken about right now, not Jack Grealish.
No, Jack Grealish should definitely be spoken about, bro, because £100 million signing, not scoring in 2024, should definitely be spoken about.
No, because I'm putting Jack Grealish in the same category as Pepe right now. Jadon Sancho. That's where I'm putting him.
What about Anthony?
Anthony. I'm in there.
I'm not going to lie. Anthony, listen, I don't care. Cook me. I think Anthony's been a better signing for Man United than Grealish has been for City. When you can think about how shit. No, I mean it. Anthony's rubbish. Man United are rubbish. Anthony scored more goals than him. Like, Jack Grealish is playing. Jack Grealish is
He's actually scored more goals than him. Like, legit.
In the time he's been in England, Jack Grealish is playing in such a superior team. How is Anthony outdoing you in terms of the GA and the output? It's a madness. It's because Jack Grealish is a better football player. I'm saying signing, not footballer. I can't signing. I can.
Jerry, what about
anything to shit? As I call Jack Grealish, I call Jack Grealish Luke Chadwick. He's their version of Luke Chadwick. He's there and he wins the trophies, but he does fuck all. I know he's great looking, and his calves. I would hold his calves. His calves are beautiful to look at as a geezer. I'm very comfortable in my sexuality. He is a gorgeous geezer. He's the kind of guy that if I caught him with my missus, I'd say fair play, love. Like, he's a gorgeous guy. He's a great cat. He's a great cat. Listen, I make sure I'll be like, Jack, you're so good looking. You're giving him a good time. Like, but he's a great lad. He goes out on the pitch. He's all these things. I know he's won trophies. He's been at that club, but the way he has just been an absolutely atrocious signing at £100 million. He really has been.
They've both been shit, Terry. That's the problem. They both sit on the same bus. They're both shit.
I agree.
Let's be honest.
I agree.
And you can't really try and hold any of them to any kind of standard. But you cannot forget about speaking about him, because you look at the player he was at Villa, and he had the world at his feet. Literally, he could have gone on to any club. And this is my issue with Pep, because he has that in him to take the joy out of footballers. Like, he's lost that joy of playing football the way he was a maverick. And in a game where we don't have many mavericks, we've lost one there, unfortunately. And
do you think Pepper's eroded that from him, or do you think maybe he's just become a bit bloated after the trophies and the money?
And all the beer. Maybe he's definitely bloated after all the beer. I think he's taken out of him.
I don't see how Pep eroded the joy when the same Pep who brought you Ronaldinho, who brought you Messi. The reason why you've got Doku, Savio is to get plot, is to be on the wings, is to take on players. I think Grealish, the first point is true. He's just like Tyson Fury and others. Once he reached the peak, you're not ready to kind of continue pushing yourself forward. So I think that's Grealish's. I don't think Pep sends Grealish out there to say, "Don't take on a man, don't make an assist."
But Toon tactics. Do you not think that?
That was my That was my argument when City fans go, yeah, but he's told to create space and do this, and then Doku comes on and starts running directly at a man. I'm like, I don't believe he's giving his two left-sided attackers completely different tactics in the game.
But
it just doesn't work. Sorry,
Doku has always looked like Doku has always looked like he's trying to express himself a lot more than Jack Grealish when he's played.
No, but even with Doku, don't you think he's not even as exciting as he was last season?
I think people's perception of that. I think because this whole kind of narrative that Pep sucked the life out of football just because their teams aren't winning anymore, they're trying to make up a way that it's all robotic now, it's all systems now. So there's people's perception of just getting of what Pep is doing, and then you remind them the players that he's brought on, Riyad Mahrez, for instance, and all of that. How many great goals have we seen from him? And then I think that's people's perception of it.
Hey, Toon, I get what you're saying, but the exciting Riyad Mahrez, we never saw him at City, bro. He scored good goals. We got good goals, but he wasn't
They're pretty excited about when they see him.
Yeah, but I watch him as a prolific scorer. I think it was even in the treble season, he might have even scored the most goals, but he wasn't the Leicester Riyad Mahrez. Let's keep it 100.
Right.
Like,
and also, Pep didn't bring through Ronaldinho or Messi either, so let's not attribute them to Pep because they were his players.
Messi's a freak.
He also sold Ronaldinho
to win trebles.
He sold Ronaldinho though. So whatever, Messi was already coming through. Messi was already showing the skill. He was already the player.
Messi is an anomaly, and he sold Ronaldinho. And so let's not pretend.
Let me ask you guys this. The last 2-3 windows, outside of Erling Haaland, how many like real game changers have Man City brought in?
Well, they've tried to, they just failed. I mean, I did see your debate with Lee and the guys. Did Lee Gunner really say that Savio is better than Saka?
Not only did he say Savio is better than Saka, he said he's better than every stage of football.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I would just I actually think Savio's got better skills on the ball in terms of dribbling skills. That looks better. But this is
I think that's the deceptive part about Savio, that he looks like he's doing more than he is in terms of contribution.
Preach, Nina. Preach.
Because that's exactly what you say there, Terry, that he does the pretty things and his touch and stuff, and you look at it and you go, wow, Savio, but actually
16
games that everyone's talking about. People, on one hand, people want Mavericks. They do the Maverick stuff, and then they're like, they don't do anything.
I'm very consistent though, Toon. I want Mavericks who have end product. You need, and this is the thing with footballers. You need him. Listen, I think Savio I really like what he looks like as a talent, but needing a spot on. There's just, and this isn't getting into the Saka debate against him. I'm not really that bothered about that. I just thought it was when you see an out of context, when you see an out of context clip online, they're sometimes funny to watch, but you never quite know the actual. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it was a specific sector of the game.
Talking about the fact that he's on 40K and he thinks he's better than Saka, who's on 150.
Okay, so saying for the cost versus outcome. Okay, cool. But on the Savio, yeah, you're right, Nina. It's a lot of eye-catching things, but very rarely the final ball, and so far no goals. And you're right, Igal. They haven't bought enough game changers, and I do love this as a Man United fan. When we had Ollie, we got slagged off for only having moments players, and I always used to say, look, it's great having moments players, but they need to be in a better system. You need moment players in a good system. But City have seemed to have gone to a position where they've got a really good system, so they dominate the ball and they dominate the play. But if Haaland doesn't score, or KDB doesn't play the final ball, or the left back doesn't score a screamer, who, by the way, Double A, you look a little bit like, to be fair. Just saying that, but but there's nothing coming. They look really weak. But slightly moving on.
Why didn't you mention Foden, Terry?
Do you know why I'm not going to mention Foden? Because I'm keeping the same energy as when Arsenal have gone through bad runs, and I'm like, do you know what? 3 shows running, everyone's been slagging off Saka. I don't think there's a reason to pile on him again today. I thought there's other interesting things. But moving on from City, it comes to Liverpool. 8 points clear. Nina, are they the outright favourites now?
Ooh, I mean, we've just spoken about City. For City to turn anything around, even last season, I actually at some point at the start said, I don't know if City being City will be enough this season. And this time I'm looking at it and I think City being City is not going to cut it this season, just because of all the things we've mentioned. You know, in order for them to actually try and turn things around, they have to actually go big in the winter transfer window. We know that City have been quite reluctant to do that, but them needing to kind of have almost an acknowledgement of their problems and addressing that, bringing in, I think they need some refreshment as well, massively. You know, it's quite an aging squad. It's achieved a lot, but I think that, you know, you look at Kyle Walker and the fact that, you know, he's not going to get better. He's only going to be in a decline now eventually. And I just think that they need a lot of refreshment, and you have to take into context how Liverpool are doing. Again, crucial game at the weekend. But, you know, you look at Liverpool, they're doing so well. They have that, you know, you talk about moments against Southampton, didn't necessarily look like the glorious Liverpool side that are blowing teams away, but they have moments, you know, again, of individual brilliance or a moment of magic to bring them out. Sometimes when you are contending for the title, you need those moments, and you're not going to be good game in, game out. But what Liverpool are doing right now is great. I think it'll be interesting to see how they deal with like injuries from, I don't know, outfield players that are contributing really well now. It's again, you know, Mo Salah's living it up, lighting it up in the league right now. I have to say that also has surprised me. I didn't actually think that, you know, he'd be as good as he is, but fair enough. And I think, you know, that again, Liverpool are almost in a good position even when Arne Slot took over. And I think it's very different from kind of taking the wheel than any other club, because what Klopp kind of did with this team and how he handed things over was pretty much the best way that he could have. You know, a lot of these players that are balling out were balling out under Klopp, or have just kind of developed a lot more, you know. And I keep going back to the point, like, Kelleher's brilliant and we all agree that he's a brilliant keeper, but, you know, Kelleher was given that kind of moment by Klopp. He was given the belief, you know, he was starting in cup finals and whatnot, and slowly kind of working his way up to be a very fitting Alisson too. Obviously very different, but yeah, he's a keeper. And you know, I look at us and I'll always say, like, Chelsea, we're in a top 4 race, but, you know, having like someone like Robert Sanchez, I think goalkeepers are so important, because I think we can definitely challenge for a top 4, but can you contend for a title like someone with a Robert Sanchez? Maybe not necessarily. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And if they beat City, then that's too big of a lead. And if it was vice versa, we'd say the league's done after that game if it was City 11 points clear.
Interesting fact. Liverpool are now the favourites. They're odds-on favourites with the bookmakers, typically around 4 to 5. City have dropped to third favourites from now. They're second place in the league. They've dropped to third favourites. Arsenal have now moved into second place. So, of course, the bookmakers, they often go by what people are putting their money on. And maybe people think that City's decline is going to continue this season, you know, especially if they lose this weekend to Liverpool as well. But City have dropped to the third favourites. Arsenal are now in second position. But, Igal, is this Liverpool's title to lose from this point, or is it too early with an 8-point lead? What are you saying? Maybe, or is it more after this weekend and the City game you're going to make a definitive statement on that?
Terry, I still think it's way too early. We've seen larger leads be caught up after, 15 games. We've seen larger leads get caught up after January. So if I'm not mistaken, when did Newcastle start? When did Man United start catching up on Newcastle? Was it not?
I was thinking back to when I was 10 years old now. I think they had a 12-point lead I want to say it was January, but it could have been more December. I have to go back and check.
So with that being said, history has said that at this point, yes, Liverpool are looking really good, and they're probably one of the best starts to the season for a Liverpool new manager or Liverpool manager in history. But I do think it's still way too early to be just crowning them as like champions elect. There's so much football to be played, and they are still a relatively unknown side with their manager just being new. We haven't seen them face a level of adversity that Arsenal and Man City have gone through this season, and that could potentially happen for them. This league is not no joke. Southampton gave them a serious game. I could say, you know what, the Southampton game could be more to come. You could potentially see more of these shaky games, and maybe they can drop points down the road. But right now, if you were to say they look the best, I would agree. But it's not. They're not clear favorites yet.
Igal, just a quick question. Igal. So you're saying it's too early. Sorry, Kunle.
Right.
So who for you then could be the one that topples or gets a little bit closer?
Why are you doing this, Double? Why? Why are you doing this?
Bro,
I want his opinion. I want his opinion on it.
At the end of the day, Man City are 8 points behind. I think Arsenal are currently 9 points behind. With Man City and Liverpool facing each other next week, you could easily see a situation where Liverpool maybe draw or something crazy happens where they start to drop points. The next couple of games are against Newcastle. They're also playing Everton, which for them is a derby. Everton's last derby at their ground. They're going to be massively up for it. I do think
it's a derby. It is a derby.
It's a massive derby, yeah. And I just don't think it's a situation where we can already just look at, yes, they're playing well right now, but that can change. The same way you could also say Liverpool started off so good. I don't have enough evidence to make that case, but if Liverpool start off this good, you say they peaked too early because they're playing so well right now? You could make a case they maybe peaked too early in the season, and later on in the season they could burn out. We've seen that with
for sure. But you could also be like,
so Arsenal are the favourites.
They've not even
peaked yet. I'm just saying they're not standout favourites to run away with the league.
No, but Igal, could it also be that they've not even peaked yet and they're just picking up points, which like on the weekend they didn't play well, previous game they didn't play well, and then they kick into gear like we did back in the last season and run away with it.
I think a lot of what you said makes sense, Igal. The only bit that doesn't make sense, and maybe it's because of the way I view the way clubs are structured, we have seen, I know they've got a new head coach, but this Liverpool team has gone through adversity and problems. This is the squad, the club, the hierarchy have won league titles. Have won Champions Leagues, have won trophies. Yes, there's a new head coach who, by the way, has won trophies. The world didn't start new and fresh for Liverpool in the summer. It was just a fresh head coach. This team is full of winners. It's full of. I know that's not quite the same squad that won the league 5 years ago, but Salah is there, Trent is there, Alisson is there as an example, and a number of others. Plus, they've bought players from teams that have won league titles and been in title races. And Gravenberch, this man has been at Bayern Munich. He understands what pressure is all about as an example. So I don't that element. I mean, that element I don't agree with, that they haven't gone. I know they haven't gone through adversity in the sense of, if they get three players
under slot, that's it.
Yeah, if they haven't gone through, if they get two really important players injured for the rest of the season next week, touching wood, it doesn't happen. Of course, that changes the landscape of the situation. There's no doubt about it. But
1 second, I don't want people to think I'm sitting here saying they're not playing well, they're not looking good right now. But I'm just saying after 12 games, we aren't crowning anybody league title.
Igal, that's not what anyone's saying here. We're asking who's in the.
They're currently the favorites. They're currently the favorites. But if you were to say to me, am I extremely worried that Arsenal or Man City can't catch up to them and make it a race? I do think there will be an opportunity to catch up to Liverpool, and they will slip up. Where if this was Man City the way that they were playing a couple of years ago, or this was Liverpool when they had Mane and Firmino in their pump, I would be like, what? In the case that Mo Salah does slow down, I do believe the rest of the guys will pick it up. But right now, the way Liverpool's set up, I kind of do think they're a one-man team.
What?
Yeah,
we can say that about Arsenal with Odegaard.
I do think you stop Mo Salah, you slow down Mo Salah, you slow down Liverpool. It's very difficult to do.
Hold on. You slow down Mo Salah, one of the Premier League greats. It's like you slow down Thierry Henry, then you got Arsenal, mate. Yeah, easy.
You can make that case about anybody.
The guy is inevitable.
You can make that case about anybody. But outside of Mo Salah, who's their chief creator and chief goal scorer, I also do think they're going to struggle if anybody else cannot pick up the weight on those games.
Yeah, but again, look, if he goes out for the rest of the season, that changes things. But this is just Premier League numbers. Salah has 10 goals, 6 assists. Diaz, 5 goals, 2 assists. Darwin Núñez, he's got a couple of goals and an assist. Jota's been in and out the team, but a couple of goals and assists. Gakpo scored and assisted. Curtis Jones has scored and assisted. By the way, Curtis Jones is playing brilliantly. Ryan Gravenberch is playing amazingly. Defensively, let's not pretend that as a defensive unit, barring Robertson, they haven't been immaculate this year. They are not top of the league just because Mo Salah scored goals. As a unit, and lots of individuals, Igal, have been playing sensational football this year.
Yeah, and also before the Southampton game, I think they'd conceded only like 6 goals or something too. So...
No, I agree. There's a super chat here for Igal that says, can we take a moment by the appreciation egalitarians take on Liverpool before the start of the season, 9 points ahead of him. What was your take before the beginning of the season? Oh yeah, you said they're falling off, didn't you?
No, I said Arsenal finished 10 points ahead of Liverpool. But fair enough. At this moment in time, you guys look good. You guys look good right now. Listen, that's not 1 second. That's you guys are laughing. We finished 7 points ahead of them last year.
Oh, what a take, Gal. Terrible
We
take.
finished 7 points ahead of them last season.
Terrible take.
You believe anyway. You're my
So
guy.
you've recovered me now from my poor start to the show, so I'm really, really glad, bro. Oh,
Hey, fair enough. Regardless, it could still happen. We've seen a 14-point swing last year against Liverpool. They were 7 points ahead of us at one point with the game. We had a game in hand, and then we caught up. And not only did we catch up, we finished 7 points ahead of them.
You know what?
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
It is now. You're not going to finish
10 points might be unrealistic. Yeah.
If it happens,
imagine they do. Imagine Arsenal finish 10 points ahead of Liverpool from now. Igawa's going to walk around with balls this big, bro.
I'm buying you a ticket to Nigeria, bro. I'm paying for your visa, everything, bro.
1 second. Before people in the chat start talking about how I should stick to hockey and everything, understand that I'm simply talking about the fact that we finished 7 points behind you. And to start the season, even Arne Slot himself would not have predicted Liverpool would be in the position you're in right now. So to hindsight always looks funny.
It's like when you put near enough Arsenal's full team into the Real Madrid team, I suppose. Hindsight.
Yeah, that was not.
Igal, you just got the best saying of all time, and I do this. That's why I laugh. You just said hindsight is sometimes funny. no, hindsight looks funny. And this is the greatest saying in the history. Is it like, I think I say like hindsight is lucrative. There's another one of hindsight is 20/20 vision. Igal's version is hindsight can sometimes be funny, which is great. I love you, Igal. You're the best, bro. You're the best. This super chat here says, everyone remember the quadruple season. Calm down.
Facts.
That's true.
Facts. People talk about Arsenal falling off. Liverpool have the team that have finished what do you call it? Top of the league the most after Arsenal to not win the league.
And they won.
First of all, no one's ever won a quadruple.
Say that again.
No one. No.
You just said Liverpool have been the team to finish on top of the league the most to not win the league. Unpack that, please. I don't get it.
So Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken, in the past couple of years when they've been competing, they were top of the league come Christmas time in January, the second most in Premier League era to not win the league.
And who's most?
Arsenal.
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so the super chat
hang on a minute. So what I'm hearing here is City,
remember
based on your logic, City are still winning the league.
City can still catch up. I did start off by saying that.
Can we address the super chat? There's no team that's ever done a quadruple, so we don't know what you're talking about. Appreciate the super chat.
No City rep. Shame on KJ and Tell. Yeah, sorry about that, mate.
Maybe they don't want to talk about football. Maybe they want to break.
They want to stick to hockey, don't they? I think.
There you go. They want to talk about the Maple Leafs.
Arsenal were 5 behind Liverpool last season. It ended 7 ahead. Oh, another hat. So let me see. A hat's nice. I've got one.
I got my Maple Leafs, my Raptors, my Blue Jays, all here.
Oh, homesick, are you?
Yeah, a little bit.
What's happening to City reminds me of Liverpool 2 seasons ago when Klopp thinks that he didn't need to revamp the midfield. We were getting run through. This is true. What was the dumber, Ed Sheeran or the fan messing with Roy Keane?
Rose was funny. But Ed Sheeran was.
What was Ed Sheeran doing though? He just came and started hugging Jamie Redknapp. Did you guys see that?
Yeah,
he just said, "I'm rich. I can do what I like." That's what he was doing.
Yeah. The thing that Ruben was looking at him like, the fuck's this?
I don't know. Shaking his head like, nah, you're taking the piss, guys. That what? I don't walk off. If that were me, I'd have walked off.
So I saw someone. I didn't know what he did, and I saw a tweet, and it made no sense. It was out of context. It went, Ruben Amorim should turn up to one of Ed Sheeran's concerts and stand on stage and just start clapping and hugging the guitarist. And I was like, what the fuck's that about? And then I saw the clip and I got it. Igal, if you had to make a bet, and no one could know to save the planet, so no one knows about the bet, but it's to save the planet, who will win the league this season? So yeah, if you had to put a bet on now, the team that you think is going to win the league, and if you're right, the planet is saved. If you're wrong, we're all dead, bruv. Who would you put the bet on to save all our lives?
You don't have to
November
answer this, you
25th,
don't have to
2020.
answer this, bro.
Right now, you'd put Liverpool based on if you had to bet your house. That's not ridiculous.
You're not betting your house. You're betting the planet. You're betting the planet.
The planet, bruv. All our lives.
Not your house.
Right now, based on everything, you'd either bet Man City. You'd probably bet Liverpool or Man City. Arsenal, I would say Arsenal would be third favorites. So call us the underdog.
It's a good thing we can't see his fingers because he's like this right now.
Anyways, call Arsenal. You know what? Everyone wants to hate us, but hey, fair enough.
Yeah, but what I don't listen. I appreciate you being honest, but you just spent 10 minutes giving reasons as to why it's not over. But when it comes down to it, you
don't back his boys.
No, but Terry, if you hate Erling Haaland or if you hate a player,
I don't.
But say you don't like something, right? But you're in the same situation, and someone says somebody needs to score a goal this weekend, and the one player you don't like has been like on a 9-game scoring streak. You're still gonna pick him to be the one that scores.
No, if they're playing Spurs.
There you go.
But no, I don't. But I don't do that kind of analysis. Even if I can't stand Liverpool, and my biggest enemies, but they've been the best team in the league this year. I'll just be honest about it.
Fair enough.
Your new name.
I think I have complimented Liverpool. It's just the criticisms outweigh the compliments because you guys just focus on that.
What do you mean?
Everyone focuses on the take that's negative, and they ignore anything positive that I say about Liverpool.
I don't remember. I'll be fair to you. Maybe you're right. I don't remember you saying too much positive about Liverpool in this stream. No, it's not a dig. That's not a dig. Don't take it as a dig.
I started off by giving them credit on how they've gone 10 out of 12. Like, let's be honest.
All I've heard you say is they're a one-man team, and if you slow down Salah, then they're screwed.
You see?
Well done to Liverpool.
My point is
brilliant.
You could have Terry, you see this all the time. You could have 15 takes that people agree with the whole stream. They'll stick to that one take they disagree with.
Yeah, I would say the difference is this though. The slight difference, maybe if I come across this way, people give me the feedback. I'm always open for it. Is you've done all the praise, but you've ended it with, but if Salah stubs his toe, finished. Which
So
basically
should I end with the praise? Is that what I should do?
No, I think you should just be honest the whole
that.
way through. The whole way through, be honest.
I am being honest. That's what I believe. I think if
But
Man
I'm just
City-
winding you up. I'm just winding you up.
I think if Man City was in the position Liverpool were in, everyone would be saying the league is over because it's Liverpool and they have a new manager.
There's a chance.
There's a little more of a gap for a possibility for someone to have a backdoor.
Why is Drake still getting cooked? Is he? I don't know.
I don't know what anyone's talking about at this point.
I don't
guys,
follow that
even though you think Drake lost the battle in the summer, he's still a better artist, still selling more records. And the other guy, Kendrick, all he has is the Super Bowl.
No, he doesn't.
I am not getting involved in a rap debate because when I pull out my MC Hammer take, you're not gonna like it, man.
Hey, you're definitely Vanilla Ice.
At least you didn't say Vanilla Ice, bro. Yeah.
You're definitely Vanilla Ice.
Jimbo used to knock about with MC Hammer for years. They were so close.
Because Kate's husband used to be a bodyguard to the stars, like serious celebrities, like not Peter Andre or anything. He might have done Peter Andre to be fair, but serious celebrities. Michael Jackson and people. Bodyguard them.
But at the rate that Liverpool's winning at, Donny, the guy who in the super chat.
Fuck did that come from?
Whoa!
I'm reading the super chat.
This was like what I was saying earlier. We were sitting down talking, and the gal got involved. It's like, oh, we're here, we're busy.
My bad.
Enough about that.
This guy with the super chat.
Fuck!
You need to realize.
Jimbo knows Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
Donny down here.
Michael Jackson's no Drake.
This guy needs to realize that Liverpool are at an 80% win rate right now. That's gonna come down. And Arsenal were dropping points at a high rate against we're facing a lot better
I hear
teams.
you on that. I do hear you on that.
Things will balance out. You're not gonna go win 8 out of your next 10 again.
Maybe. Imagine they do. Ligal will be playing hockey by the end of this season if he's wrong. Speaking of you though, Ligal and Arsenal, how impressed were you guys with your team this weekend? And do you feel like you're back on track, Kunle?
Back on track. I was hoping you weren't going to ask that style of question. Back on track is not what I would say we are.
I'm very good at asking questions. It's just my job.
I know you are. I don't know if we're back on track, But it's the first game I've been excited to watch this season that Arsenal have played. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from start to finish. Like the lineup, the substitutes, everything he did in that game for me, I enjoyed it. Again, I was just trying to collect 3 points. That's all I'm looking for. Anyone asking me title race questions and what happens if you sign this guy in January? I don't know. I don't have the answers. But can we go and win our next game? We can go and win our next game.
I love how your accent changed then.
When I'm getting extra passionate, you know now. Because basically, Martin Odegaard, it's clear to see, like, obviously KDB is on the decline. He doesn't play as many games as he used to. The best number 10 in the league is Martin Odegaard. That's a fact. And a lot of people don't want to have that conversation. They want to compare wingers to number 10s and all that sort of stuff. But Martin Odegaard is the difference maker. And I challenge any team to tell me that their number 10 is better than us. Any team. Also,
what's funny?
There's been a reason why you lot have been pushing the Saka versus Palmer rather than Palmer versus Odegaard debate. A player in his actual position. Perish the thought.
I'll let you finish.
I love the fact that usually Arteta might have kept Jorginho on at halftime, but he understands discipline ain't really the thing for us right now. See, the party got started at halftime. He scored, made it 2-0. Ethan Nwaneri scored the third. I mean, things are looking good right now. We move on. The fact that we didn't need to bring on Martinelli, Declan Rice made me happy as well, and I hope we can see more minutes from Raheem Sterling. So, in terms of are we back? We're not back, but we are enjoying our football again. You got the floor is yours.
Simply put, I agree.
We're back. I'm gonna say we're back.
Yeah, I do think we're back to playing fluid football. It looked nice. Martin Odegaard really does unlock Arsenal's attack. He really makes us look a lot better.
One man team. Oh, sorry. Excuse me.
No. We do have guys who are on the same level, unlike certain other teams. But fair enough. When it comes to Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka, those two guys, I would say they're one of the best up there. Probably one of the better duos in the league. Martin Odegaard and Saka, and it's nice to have them two playing at their best and looking really good. The team looked fluid. Probably one of our better performances throughout the whole season, winning 3-0, clean sheet, Martin Odegaard assist, Bukayo Saka goal. Also, Ethan came off the bench, got a goal. That kid, we overhype a lot of players, especially myself. I overhype a lot of players sometimes, but Ethan is worth the hype. This kid at his young age, he's showing every time he comes on, making a big difference, making game-changing decisions. And Arteta deserves a 10 out of 10 also. Not only did he get a performance out of the team, got a great result, and rotated ahead of a big game in the Champions League for Sporting. So nothing more you can ask for. Just hopefully we can keep this going. And I was getting into argument with somebody, but 3 points, of course, is very needed. But the results and the performances matching is nothing more than what we want as fans. And this is finally going to give us more confidence for the coming weeks, because the Chelsea game, the Inter game, this game was probably the best one we've had leading up, and we've been waiting for these kind of results to start coming up. But hey, I don't want to hear nobody saying it's just for us, because this is the same team that beat Liverpool at their ground that you guys are all saying is the best team in the league and everything. And
they all said they'd take points off us as well.
And also they drew against Chelsea at their ground. So let's not talk like Nottingham Forest or any scrubs. I was hearing all week people were saying they're going to beat them. Kate, I think you predicted that they would beat us. So
no, I didn't. I predicted you to beat them 3-1. I've got it written down here. So wind your neck in over there.
Gals are starting.
Fair enough. I must have confused you
with Tuesday we resume.
I must confuse you with Henry.
In fairness, her and Henry do look a little bit alike, so it's and what I mean by that is Henry looks very effeminate. That's what I mean, not the other way around. So Henry looks like a lady.
Nice save, Terry. Nice save.
Oh, no, good at that. And there's a super chat here for Nina. It says Nina looking lovely as ever. That's a nice compliment there to begin the super chat with. It says, Did you see the video of the Leicester City players clubbing with Enzo I miss you sign? I see why they miss him. Does wonders for Chelsea. Yeah.
I actually haven't seen that video, no. But yeah, I'm sure they do, especially now with hindsight, as the gal said, now that Steve Coops is gone and they're longing for the Enzo Maresca, maybe. No, I haven't seen that video actually. But yeah, I'm very happy. Maresca, so far so good. And as someone again who had no expectations and wasn't completely over the moon with the appointment, I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
What did you make of the display this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with the result. I think we always looked like, I mean, if you look at the scoreline and you hadn't watched the game, and it kind of looks quite marginal, quite evenly contested, but I think Chelsea always looked like they were going to win that game. You know, we're not perfect still. We have lots of things to improve, but, you know, we were unlucky to not score another few goals. And obviously, most famously, Madueke blocking Palmer's tap in there at the far post. But, you know, they had a laugh about it. At the end of the day, you have to win these games. And I think there's a stat that where Chelsea have taken the lead first this season, we've not lost a game, and that's already a massive improvement on last season. Because every time we would, even in the few instances, score first, we'd be out overturned, we'd be equalised levels, and it was impossible to come back. But we're showing a real sign of fight. These players look hungry. They have business to do. And I just love that everyone's, you know, playing for the team. There's no kind of sulking about it, because I think Maresca's made it very clear that you play on performance and merit. And I think he's, you know, we spoke about at the start where managers coming in and implementing their kind of stamp already. He's made it very clear that if you play well, you'll play. You know, Neto started off as someone who didn't make it in the Premier League starting 11. Now, ultimately, you can make a case he's undroppable in our starting lineups because he's been very dangerous, very effective. And all these players just coming out of their shells, showing different things. I think defensively, we've still got work to do. Sanchez has work to do. I think I'm still waiting on an improvement that probably never comes. And that's quite worrying there. But yeah, I think front line, you know, the fact that every Chelsea fan could probably give you a different starting four for, you know, certain games up front is, I think, a good sign. We weren't spoiled for choice last season, even though we still had so many players on our books. We didn't really know what to do with them. Maresca seems to be working it out. So not getting ahead of ourselves, but I think so far so good. I would like us to go in a bit of a winning streak, though. I think that's something that we will really need to do now. Okay, you've beat Leicester, fantastic. Go and beat Aston Villa. That's a test at the weekend. Even though, you know, they've been drawing games and they've been maybe quietly kind of having certain problems that haven't really been scrutinised as such. Aston Villa are still a tough test. They troubled us last season, and I think that beating them at home will be a real, you know, achievement. And then going off and doing the same with Southampton and Tottenham, hopefully that means that, you know, we're in a good place come December. So, yeah. So,
Nina,
good.
I got two questions for you. First of all, was Neto injured on the weekend?
What, this weekend? Yeah. He had a slight knock when he came back from duty.
Okay. And also, you see how this season's kind of like, other than Liverpool, no one's really put like some level of consistency together. So do you think we won't really know about any team this season until a team puts together some sort of run, i.e. what you were talking about in terms of Chelsea? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I think, you know, it'll be a real statement of kind of where we've come as a team and how serious we are about top four with consistency. Like, as you mentioned, I think that's really important because I think it hasn't helped. And I think every team can say how many international breaks we've had, you know, in the last couple months. And it's almost like, you know, you get into a bit of a groove and then bam, you're off to international duty. We have players that go to the other side of the world and come back, you know, ready for Premier League action. So I think a winning streak is what we really need to just go on a bit of a run. I think for self-esteem, for confidence as well. But you look at how tight the league is, you know, kind of those top sort of spots down to even like 10th, 11th. Losing and other teams winning means you could literally drop a few places as soon as this weekend. So we really do need these wins. And then we'll be at a much better place for sure.
I've seen a few Chelsea fans sort of on socials kind of put out the notion of the table doesn't lie. We're in third place. We've been better than Arsenal this season. If we can put a run of games together, we could go on and challenge for the league title. Do you feel that's a little bit premature at this point? And do you think it's maybe more sensible for fans to sort of toe the line of let's improve the performances to go on a run, but let's not create an expectation? Or are you in the sort of camp of Chelsea fans that think expectations are what get you to the top?
Yeah, I think there's an element to that, but again, there's people who came into this sort of season less optimistic than a Manchester United. I think that's quite telling. Like, we did not know what to expect. You know, there was this much kind of greater optimism around your club. I'm sure you'd both agree with kind of Ten Hag staying and how you'd come into the season, that you'd be off on a better start than us. So I think the fact that we've not really had an expectation as such, you know, we need to get back into Champions League football. That was an absolute must. And coming into the season, I think every Chelsea fan wanted that achieved. And I think at the moment, you know, it's early days, but we look on track for that. And I think that's very much what I'd still like us to stick at, getting back into Champions League football, because I think Chelsea, that's where we belong. I'm not looking and I'm not interested in any kind of title races here. That's absolutely insane. However, I think, and I'm very happy with the progress we're making in terms of coming up and being a top side again after 2 years in the absolute trenches, not knowing what's happening, what style of football we're playing, which player does what, and how we fit everybody in. And I think that Maresca has, you know, he's been dealt difficult cards. A lot of these players really have been kind of bought since the takeover. You know, he had a few good additions in the summer transfer window, but he's very much just kind of got on with it quietly. And he does get asked this, you see it after certain games, oh, you know, okay, you're kind of comfortably sat in these top spots. Could there be, you know, something more here? And he shuts that down very quickly, because I think he's very realistic. And I think us Chelsea fans are very realistic too. Get me Champions League football, get me Conference League, and
Which Chelsea fans are you referring to? Wait, were you a Chelsea fan before Abramovich or after?
I mean, I'm sorry, I was born in 2001. Does that answer your question?
No, I'm asking because a lot of the post-Abramovich...
My dad was, if that helps, and I was born into a Chelsea household. So, yeah, was pre-Abramovich supported.
You might have a different mindset, but the Abramovich fans, they're not realistic. Like a lot of them, because when I speak to Chelsea fans,
Abramovich isn't here anymore. Things have changed since Abramovich.
I understand that, but the fans that have become Chelsea fans during that era, their expectation, the way they rationalize things, is a lot.
Winning trophies, being at the top flight. I'm very clear about that. 100%.
So them lot are not saying stuff like, "I'm just trying to focus on winning the next game and top 4." They're saying, if we go on a run, we can be in a title race, and that's what predominantly your fans are saying. So for you to say Chelsea fans are realistic, it was just weird.
Okay, I'll still back my point and say Enzo Maresca is very realistic. I'm quite happy about that. But yeah, that's Champions League, that's it. And winning trophies, I think we're capable of doing that this season. So that's happy days. That's what top flight at Chelsea looks like. But again, let me remind you, the last 2 years was so far away from anything that Chelsea has stood for and embodied, you know, in the last years. As you like to say, during Abramovich, and since I've been alive and in my lifetime, you know, I've had the privilege of seeing us be so successful and win so much. And, you know, not as much as maybe the panel here, no offense to you guys, but I recognize, and as I said, I've been there when we've been at the top. I was there when we were at the bottom, and now I'm enjoying this process of slowly getting back into where we belong. I think that's a fair thing to say.
I wish more Chelsea fans are like you. I won't lie.
No, I think it's fair. And listen, there are some. I think every fan base has a group of unrealistic people, and I think they're broke up into subcategories. Some are just purely attention seekers. Who want attention for one reason or another. You know, you've got these sort of, every club has these standard FC people that are like, no, I've got these high standards, I'm not happy until they're met. And it's really interesting, because I get if someone's like 18 and they've only ever known Chelsea to be good, I kind of get it. But it's when I see someone who's 45 years old and a Chelsea fan say, no, unless we're up at the top, I can never ever be happy. I just think, then how did you, if that's really been your standard your whole life, how did you become a Chelsea fan? It doesn't marry up. Does that make sense? So I don't believe a lot of these people. I think what Nina has said is spot on. Nina's standards are as high as any Chelsea fan. You can see it, but you can see that Nina knows that it's going to take time to get to that point, because there was a big drop off, and you can't go from where they were for the last 2 years to being better than this City, better than this Liverpool, better than this Arsenal team. Again, over a 38 game season, they are on par with Arsenal right now. I think if Chelsea fans were to be really honest with themselves, they probably know they're going to finish behind Arsenal this season, more likely than not. But I think they also know that gap from the last 2 years is going to be bridged massively. Another good summer in the window, and then they go again. And I just think there's putting expectations on your team and your players, and then there is putting ridiculous, unattainable expectations on them, which I don't think help anybody. You know, I saw Porto fans kicking off last night. Everyone was going, if people did that in England, everyone would call them spoiled. It depends what fans do that. Depends what fans do it. Porto are a massive team who are basically in a 2-horse to 3-horse race every year. They've got more money than 99.9% of the rest of the country, and they're doing really poorly. I kind of get the fans being angry. But if they've been down in the doldrums for, say, like Man United 11 years, and they've been nowhere near it, and had another bad result, they wouldn't be on the street rioting, because by then they'd have got used to the level they then found themselves at. And I just find Standard FC really, really weird. So Nina, what I'm saying in a long roundabout way is I think you're spot on about what you said there. I think what you said right. This from D. He says she speaks so well. Big up Nina. Respect. Some bad news to Tottenham though. Vicario has fractured his ankle and he's out. Oh no!
When did that happen in training?
No, it happened during the game.
Oh,
a couple of people said to me during the game that he's injured, and I just thought, it's nothing. But apparently, it was a really bad injury. So it looks like he's going to be out for 4 months.
Right.
So we're going to have Fraser Foster.
Big Fraser. Oh, wow.
Okay, everything comes at a price at Tottenham.
I know.
4-0. Just enjoy that for a bit.
Can't have anything nice.
Comes at a price.
No.
At least the January window's coming up. Hopefully, we might go in for some sort of keeper.
Oh,
I don't know.
Isak's in. Isak. Oh, what a goal.
Yeah. What's the
offside? Oh, the flag's gone up, I think. But what a finish. It was one, but the flag went up. Oh, it was a very good finish though from Isak. Lovely chip. They are going to, by the way, 4 minutes in, it might change, but when you watch a game, you watch first 4 or 5 minutes, and let's get them lines out. He might be onside. When you watch a game the first 4 or 5 minutes, and you're like, West Ham could get hurt tonight. They could get really hurt with the way. Oh no, different angle, well offside. That's the thing with the angles. This angle, he looks about half a yard off. This is to Igal. I know he's not here, but he says, Igal, we were without Salah for 14 games last year and almost won all of them. As we say, they're not a one-man team, Liverpool. It's just a mad statement.
Igal popping up in 3, 2, 1.
Smashing through
that would be hilarious.
I won't put it past him.
No, really either. What happened in Chelsea's first 2 to 3 years, I think he means under the new ownership, was a crime. Now we have the youngest squad in England and need to keep improving to get back to the top for years. Yeah, it's what I think your owners.
People don't realize that. Sorry, Terry, but I think that people don't realize that the owners wanted this. They wanted to strip everything that Abramovich kind of built and did and say that this would now be a process, because they appointed Graham Potter for 5 years and kind of said, even if he doesn't do well, we'll keep him. Under Abramovich, that never would have run. As soon as things started going south, you're gone, mate. There's no such thing as trust the process here. And the fact that they did the clear out as quickly as they did, and they kind of scrapped everything, sacked backroom staff, so many successful people left, basically said, we're doing things here our way. So how could we have possibly expected that things would continue to be as good as they were? Because they, got rid of everything that was kind of keeping us up, and running. So, 2 years.
And I don't know if you agree with this, that the Champions League win was historic and amazing for you, but I felt it papered over a number of cracks already at the club at that point. You hadn't challenged for a league title in many years.
Yeah, no, agreed. We were a cup team. That's true, 100%. And there was loads of things that, Abramovich was absolutely amazing. He wasn't perfect, though. There were still things that even towards the end of the Abramovich kind of era, like, for example, revamping midfield, that was something that was kind of hanging and left over from the end of Abramovich. So it was by no means perfect. We were really coming to the end of sort of what was this kind of absolutely utopian world here. So definitely things needed to change. I just think that not as quickly and as massively as they did with everything, because the owners should have at least kept some things that were kind of working, so that they could get to know things and how things are done. Todd Bowley had never run a football club.
No, I agree. Continuity. I only learned this like a few years ago. Whenever there's massive change, keeping some continuity from the previous regime always helps the sort of the people continuing the new way of working to stay on board. But this is why when I look at Chelsea and I look at what Man United are doing, I see parallels, other than the fact I don't think we're making as many drastic change. I mean, you took out actual football people and put in non-footballing people to begin with, and it went wrong, where we've taken out non-footballing people and put in football people. But you see, for me, that's why I look at your rebuilders. There's differences in terms of the head coach this year, but it is still it's the same process. It's just your owners and your people running the club have gone, right, this isn't working, Graham Potter. We're gonna have to take him out and try and move somebody else in. But you haven't done a U-turn on what the plan was, as an example, and gone back in a different direction, as an example. And I reckon, again, if they knew now if they knew at the beginning what they know now, I think you'd have got to this point maybe 12 months sooner. I just think those first few appointments, maybe even getting rid of Thomas Tuchel as early as they did, I think all of those things probably were the big mistakes in the beginning. But yeah, Chelsea, I think you have to be a liar or blind to not recognize that you are very quickly now this season getting back towards what we consider to be now, in the last 20 years, Chelsea's level. And I think one more really good summer of purchases, and I don't see why you're not going to be up there challenging. It's a worry. This year says, what's happening? Sorry, I already done that super chat there. Igawid's right. Liverpool are favourites, but it's not over. I agree with that element there. Igal, Kendrick is a better artist. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's 1-0 West Ham. It's good through a corner against the runner flight, and they were getting battered. They got 1-0 up. Oh, wow. Football, it's a humbler. It's a humbler. Drake is a better pop star. Probably.
I agree with that.
Probably. I'll be honest with you. I stopped debating who the better singer and artist was when I left primary school. I love that. When I see grown-ups on Twitter arguing over like what artist is better, I'm like, bruv, we used to do that over Smash Hits. We used to have a magazine when I was young called Smash Hit. Right? Had all the pop stars in it, right? We used to debate who was a better boy band. It's like, fuck me. Yeah. I think I went for Boyzone. I went Boyzone, I think. I said Boyzone are better than Take That, I think is what I said.
Well, then you're very stupid
That's
indeed.
controversial, mate. Even I know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Now I would say Take That, but if you go back and watch what Take That were doing in the early 90s, no boy was out there supporting them. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, that's probably true as well.
I hear it. That's actually true.
He was just running, not on a housing estate in East London anyway. Do you know what I'm saying?
I was going to say, shouldn't you be back in E17?
No, E17. I liked E17, but the problem is with E17, a lot of their music. No, it wasn't a little bit hood, because they were they were a little bit, but the problem with them was they had a few good pop songs, but most of their songs were more, if you actually listen to their albums, it was far more rave scene. And it was one of those things my dad wouldn't let me and my brothers listen to it, because the rave scene, again, go back to my era, in the rave scene in the 90s, was a lot of madnesses going on. My dad didn't let me and my brothers anywhere near it. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, hit the like button, please, people. Make sure you're subscribing. I want to thank Nina and Kay and Kunle, Double A, Toontastics, you're probably crying right now, and of course Egalitarian for coming on the show today. Wonderful challenge. Again, I said it's 2 weeks running now. It's mad, but my favorite show I've done. I loved it. And the one thing I say to everyone who comes on is please challenge me, because I don't think I can take it from the audience. I don't care. And I loved it today. Great conversations. We're back tomorrow with more content, including Straight Facts, where LB is getting cooked Fantastic. To within an inch of his life. I'm very excited. West Ham are going to go 2-0 up here. That's a penalty. That's a penalty, ref. He ain't giving it. It's a corner. But listen, until next time, I could be a commentator, couldn't I? I'm brilliant at it. Do you know what I mean? Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.